Cinderella fairy princess bullshit. Here I am in Sydney. Adelaide is done. It is freezing in Sydney at the moment, hence why I am in my Tina jumper, which I love. Our deputy of auto, Tom, the angel of my life, who you will have seen a lot in the Adelaide vlog because we lived together, he made these like crew hoodies, jumpers. Can you see it? Anywho, let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about Adelaide. Let's drop all our stuff on the floor as we try to talk about things. I'm currently in my best friend Ella's apartment. Okay, Adelaide. The tour of Adelaide. The touring segment of my life in Adelaide. I fucking love Adelaide. Adelaide is one of my favorite cities. It's like if Melbourne or Sydney had a baby with my hometown. So it feels like simultaneously really exciting to be there, but also like weirdly nostalgic. I feel so comfortable there. I've been to Adelaide a few times for work, and every time I've been there, it feels like I have these huge life shifts or changes, and Adelaide just kind of like holds me in its little hands and makes everything okay. The 8 weeks that we spent in Perth felt like 17 years, and the 8 weeks that we spent in Adelaide felt like about 3 seconds. Like I really did not get out and like explore as much as I thought I would, as much as I hoped I would, but I still definitely went a lot of places. Adelaide was hard because for one weekend I did go home. I came back to Sydney to see my family and my friends, which was so fucking incredible to get to see them. I hadn't seen my mum or my friends in 4 months, and it was so nice to see them. Adelaide was so much fun, and I loved the city itself, but it was also a pretty difficult chunk of tour time because life doesn't stop. Just because you are on tour, the things that happen in life that we all go through don't stop just because you're on tour. People pass away, you go through breakups, you get sick. All of those things still happen, and they happen when you're away from your immediate support network, so they can sometimes be a little bit more difficult. But all in all, I still had a really good time in Adelaide, and I loved our season there, and I have a lot of like places that I loved to go. A lot of food. As much as there were quite difficult things going on in my personal life, I felt really connected and grounded to the people that I work with all the time this leg of the tour, which is really fucking nice because sometimes it can feel really isolating to be constantly just surrounded by co-workers, because there is this weird line of like professionalism versus personal life versus like, these are all relationships of convenience, which isn't a bad thing, like those are great, but sometimes you just crave relationships that go a little bit deeper than that. And at this point, we've all been on tour together for a year, so those relationships are a bit deeper than that. And I really just got to lean into my support network of the people that I work with this time, which was really nice. Some of the people that I work with at the moment, I've been working with for like 3 years almost at this point. So you do develop those deeper relationships and connections that you can lean on in those times when it is hard, even if they aren't your like at home family or friends support network. I think you find people in this industry that you work with who you do take with you once jobs end, that do become those people in your life. And I feel very fortunate that I do have a few people on this tour that I think fit into that category and that are not just work friends anymore. They are like ride or die friends in my life, which is really great. Speaking of friends that I work with, my living situation in this city was fucking amazing. We had this really cool Airbnb that Tom, Ella, and I lived in for the duration of the season. It was so beautiful. It was so nice to just like come home to a home every day. It was really nice to feel comfortable. My room was the biggest room I've ever lived in my life. The house itself was really great. It was in a really beautiful neighborhood. It was far enough away from work that I felt like I was getting distance from work when I wasn't there, but it was also close enough that it was easy to get to. Everything was pretty accessible in Adelaide, which was nice, except for like Friday nights. A lot of the time they would have sporting events on, and as soon as there was a big sporting event, like the last weekend we were there, the Matildas played, and that was craziness. I'm really excited to go to Brisbane, which is where I'm going next, to not be working directly next to a casino or a sporting ground, because that's what we've been doing in Perth and Adelaide. So that will be really nice. We were in the Adelaide Festival Centre, actually working in the festival theatre. So a lot of the food places and bars and stuff that I went to were around that area. But oh boy, the ways in which Adelaide reminds me of my hometown is that they do hospitality so right. There's multiple wine regions around Adelaide that are super accessible. So many like really cool bars, really cool restaurants, very cool cafes, all of those kinds of things. But let's get into some like life and other miscellaneous category things that I loved in Adelaide, and then we'll get into like food and bars and music venues after. Aleenta Health Club, there's one in Rundle Street in the city, and there's one in Norwood, which is where I was living, or around Norwood, which is where I was living. Really, really, really great little like workout Pilates, reformer Pilates gym. They also have physios there. Super, super great. I love them. All of their instructors were super lovely. The Rundle Street Mall one had more variety in like classes and times, but the other one also had a pretty great schedule as well. While I was in Adelaide, I got tattooed. I meant to vlog the experience of getting tattooed in Adelaide, but I was booked in for the end of the season to go in and get something done then, and ended up going in early, very last minute, because the artist had space. And so I just rushed to get all my shit together and go get tattooed, and I wasn't prepared to vlog that, but I was tattooed at the Paper Moon Arts Collective Studio. Paper Moon Arts Collective Tattoo Studio. Near Kent Town, like east of the city, kind of in between where I was living and work, which was very convenient for me. Super, super quick. One of my friends was actually guesting there, which was really bizarre. So crazy to just run into him happening to guest in the city while I was there, but that was really nice. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of wine tours and wine regions and places you can go to around Adelaide that are super accessible. I did not end up going on a wine tour. I was booked in to go on one with everybody from work. Tom organized one for us because he's an absolute angel, but I was super sick that day, so I didn't end up going. There was a weekend while we were there where I got crazy sick. It was so trash. And so I didn't end up going on the wine tour, which really sucks, but what are you gonna do? One thing that I did go and do on an adventure day off was go to Hahndorf. And Hahndorf is, you would have seen it in my week on tour in Adelaide video. Go and watch that if you haven't seen it. Hahndorf is this weird little German town that is outside of Adelaide. Not weird because German things are weird. Weird because it's just like a full little German village just outside of this random Australian city, and it's very wholesome. It was peak autumn while we were there. It was really nice to just go there and eat a bunch of food and walk around and look at all the shops that they have there. So would definitely recommend going to Hahndorf if you get a chance. It took like 20 minutes to drive out of the city to get there, so it's really not hard to get to at all. Moving on to food. Pretty much all of these places are around the theatre. Some are like a fine dining moment. Most of them are a more casual situation. But when you go to a new theatre and you go to a new venue, the first thing you want to know is like, where around here can I get good coffee? My favorite coffee place that was around the theatre was Cafe Bang Bang, which was just up the road. Also, there is a coffee stand in the train station just underneath it. I cannot remember what it is called for the life of me. I will include the name in the description so that you know. And nearby to that cafe, still in the train station, there is a hot donut place. They sell a whole bunch of things like hot dogs and things like that, but the donuts, their cinnamon donuts, are like drugs, and thank me later, go and get some, you will not regret it. Outside of coffee though, there are a whole bunch of places just around the theatre and close to the CBD in general that you can go to eat. Everything within Adelaide CBD is quite within walking distance. Even like Chinatown and the central markets are super close to the theatre, which is on the opposite side of the city really. So anywhere is quite accessible if you've got a little bit of time and you like a walk. Bars and venues. I love a bar, I love a dive bar, I love a weird little kitschy bar, I love music venues, I love live music, obviously, and that is something that I don't feel like I get to enjoy enough working the hours that I work, because I'm working when most people would be going to gigs. So if we are ever in a position to go and see live music when I am on tour, I take it so fast. Luckily, while we were in Adelaide, I actually got to go to a few gigs. The first gig that I went to was at the Lion Arts Factory. I got to go see Astrodeath, who are a band from Sydney that I have worked with before, who are so amazing. Make sure you go and listen to them. Play with Dr. Colossus and Orange Goblin. I'd never been to the Lion Arts Factory before. It was a great venue. It sounded great as well, which is always a bonus. The other gig that I went to was at the Hindley Street Music Hall. Nothing But Thieves were randomly touring in the city on one of our nights off. Myself and a group of friends from work went to the gig and it was so much fun. The venue itself was also beautiful and it also sounded pretty good there too. While we were in Adelaide, we had a lot of birthdays in the company, so we were always going out to a new bar or to a new place to see what it was like. I will leave a list, of course, of all of the bars and all the places that we did go to that I recommend, but there's a couple of places that we went back to over and over and over again. One of them was Haynes & Co. Really great little bar. They do like sausage rolls and chips super late at night as well, which is always a perk when they've got food. And someone we went back to all the time and that we actually went to on opening night as well was the Bank Street Social. Absolutely fantastic bar. They also do pizza there late, which is so delicious. Their like potato pizza, I still am dreaming about and craving. But really great bar. All the staff there was super lovely. They were really welcoming and kind to us on opening night when we brought a large group of us there as well. There are places that I wanted to go in Adelaide, again, that I'd been to before or that I hadn't been to before that I didn't even get time for while we were there. So there are definitely plenty more things to do in Adelaide. There are lots of things that you can go and do for like daytime adventures. There's beaches nearby. As we discussed last time with the Perth thing, I'm not a huge beach person and it was also not the right weather for something like that, for me at least. So that wasn't something that I made the time for this time. Like I said, I feel like Adelaide went so fast and it was crazy how quickly it felt like it went compared to Perth, which felt like the longest time. Right now I have a couple of weeks off and then I am headed to Brisbane for our next chunk of the tour. I will also be there for 8 weeks and then we get more time off and then I go to Melbourne, which I'm really excited for. Brisbane is somewhere that I haven't spent a huge amount of time and I don't really know a lot of the things that are around there. So if you do have any recommendations for things that you think I should do in Brisbane or places I should check out, please send me a message and let me know. I have a bunch of tattoo plans while I'm in Brisbane, which I absolutely will take you along for, but in terms of just like things to do and places to go, I'm coming up pretty short with ideas. So any ideas that you have, whether you're a local or someone who's visited a lot, please let me know and I will make sure to check it out.